Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk Bulldog hockey, and with us, the head coach of the Ferris State Bulldogs, Bob Daniels. Coach, welcome back to the show for the first time this year.
Good to be on, Rob.
Already, hockey season is here. First regular season puck drop in college hockey in Big Rapids this Saturday night against Alabama Huntsville, and talk about how much you're looking forward to the season.
Well, you know, it's interesting, Rob. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. It just seems like it's taken forever to get to this point. You know, finally a game on the horizon, and then the next thing you say, my God, it's coming quick. So I don't, you know, it's kind of mixed emotions. But you know, we've had a rule change in the NCAA that allowed us to be on the ice from the first day of classes. Now, very limited in terms of the time we can spend out there, but nevertheless, so we've had more practice or skill opportunity than we have in the past. So at this point, we need a game. We need to play. You can only kind of talk about playing for so long, and then you got to finally, you really, to know where we're at as a team, we need to be tested with, you know, an opponent.
What have you seen out of your team through some of those limited practices so far in terms of what might be the strengths going into the season?
Well, the big question mark, really, coming into the season is going to be how we're going to be on defense. In our defensemen, we lost 4 from last year, 4 really good ones. We returned 4. We carry 8. Now, the 4 returning, only 2 saw any kind of ice time. That was Lowney and Durantes. And so we have a very untested and very young freshman defensive core. Now, with that said, and watching them in practice, they're doing exceedingly well. I mean, there's a high skill level with these kids. Drew Famnick did an outstanding job. Nevertheless, pretty much every practice I spot mistakes that are going to end up in the back of our net, and it's just going to take time. We got to play some games. They're going to have to learn it. And of all the positions, I think the transition from junior hockey to college hockey, it's the toughest on defensemen. The transition's difficult. They're like a linebacker in football, where there's so many reads, there's so many adjustments, and it's going to take time. But I really like the long-term viability of this defensive core, and they look really good. And we have a transfer, Zach Yoder, who transferred from Air Force. He's got to sit the year out. He'll be a sophomore next year, and he looks really good on defense. So our long-term prognosis on defense is good. In the short term, could be some hiccups.
On the offensive side, obviously a strong nucleus returning, led by the preseason WCHA Player of the Year in Gerald Mayhew, and a strong returner in net in Darren Smith.
Yeah, and we look good up front. Like you said, we've got the preseason Player of the Year pick in Gerald, and we also have last year's Rookie of the Year in the WCHA and Corey Mackin, and that's not even talking about Chad McDonald and Jared Van Wormer and Drew Durantes. So we feel like we've got 2 really strong lines, which is good. Good first and second, and solid depth throughout the lineup. The 3rd, 4th, even a 5th line if necessary. I mean, we're pretty seasoned up front, and we've got some goal scoring ability up there. In net, we're in good shape with Darren Smith. Justin Kapelmaster, our freshman goaltender, looks strong. He's got a ways to go yet, but we should be in pretty good shape in net too. The key thing now is where's our defensive core, and how quick can they get up to speed? And you know, it might be a case where we're going to have to play Ryan Lowney a ton and Tyler Durantes a ton, and it's just the way it is. But ideally, we're going to have some of those young D step up. And one of the big things for them too is, while they're strong and in great shape, they're not, you know, they're not redshirt freshmen. They're true freshmen, if you will, and their strength isn't up to what the strength of the 4 guys we lost in terms of their physical strength, their ability to handle players low in the defensive zone, and you know, time can only cure that. And so, but they're skilled, they are, and they've got some talent back there.
Talk about the end of last season, a memorable run, winning the WCHA Final 5, and then going on to the Final 8 for the 3rd time in 5 years. How does that help fuel the expectations maybe coming into this season?
Well, it does, Rob. I mean, you look over the last 5 years, or even if you want to go back, you know, a full decade, we've had a lot of success. We've won an awful lot of games. It's gone from, boy, I hope we have a good season, to the expectations being pretty high. Now, we were picked for 4th in the league, and I'm happy with that. Given the amount of defensemen we lost, to still be picked in the upper division, the top 4 is good. Ideally, we can finish higher. This may be a similar year to last year, though, in that we're going to have to stub our toe a few times early, and then hopefully build towards the end of the season. I don't think we're a ready-made team right out of the gate. I think we've got some areas that we're going to need experience and improvement on. But overall, the other years, you have a good feeling around the program right now. Expectations are always high. The pursuit each year of a championship is what it's about, and this is a good spot to be in right now, and our program's in a good area.
This week in a Saturday-Sunday series against Alabama Huntsville here at home to open WCHA play. What do you know about the Chargers coming into this series?
Well, they've got a very good goaltender. They've got some speed up front. They've got some talent up front. They're going to be really good defensively. They're not going to be caught on the wrong side of the puck. And this is where I could foresee a problem for us is we're trying to preach to our defensemen we'd like them, because they are all offensive minded, to try to create offense. Along the way, we could turn some pucks over. And this is the kind of team, Alabama, that's well coached, that's really good defensively, that'll be good in transition. If we turn those pucks over, we're going to have some problems. But, you know, it should be two very good games, a great test to start of the year. Both teams could look and say, well, you know, it's hard to play conference the very first weekend right out of the gate. But the reality is it's the same for both teams, and we're looking forward to the series. This
year's schedule certainly challenging. 6 of your first 7, though, at home, and some great opponents coming in here as you take on all 6 other in-state rivals here during the course of the season.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. And we really, you know, it's never ideal, the schedule. And ideally, we could have spaced some of these home games that are front-loaded into our schedule into the second half. Part of it was a change in playoff format, which at some point I'm sure you and I will talk about. But it necessitated us moving this series that we're playing this weekend from the second half of the year, which would have been 2 more home games then, to the first half. And it's not ideal, but we always love playing at home, and the ideal schedule would be play them all at home. But we are looking forward to, we've got Western Michigan home and home, we got Michigan State home and home, we got the University of Michigan here. So we've got some really good matchups and some really good in-state rivalries type games that we're looking forward to.
You mentioned the WCHA schedule here as well, and certainly the teams picked at the top half of the league. Certainly some familiar names with Minnesota State, Michigan Tech, and Bowling Green.
Well, I think until a team, and there's plenty of candidates this year, but until a team emerges, it looks like, you know, it's based off the previous 3 years, and those have been the top 4 teams. I think pretty much every year those are the same 4 teams, give or take 1, that have been down to the WCHA Final 5. So, you know, until further notice, but you've got teams like Northern Michigan, Lake Superior State, Bemidji State. I mean, they're right there, and it wouldn't surprise me to see 1 or all 3 of those teams in the top 4. It's that close. But you know, when you do these predictions, it's always based on previous years and not so much what's going to happen moving forward.
Well, Coach, best of luck to the Bulldogs this weekend. Looking forward to another great season of Ferris State hockey.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.